I hope you are all doing well, enjoying all that you have learned this week so far. My name is Katie Biggs. I am the Director of Operations at NeighborWorks Montana and your room host for the Supporting Employees and Avoiding Burnout Table Talk. We are so excited you've joined us today. Table Talks are a new addition to the conference this year and are really meant for you to have peer exchange around particular topics. So for these particular things, I know we've asked you to be off camera, off mute. This is really your time to come on camera and off of mute. And we're going to have a conversation around how we support our employees, how you guys are doing that, and how we're working to avoid burnout overall. And this is really meant for peer exchange around this topic. Just a few housekeeping items again, all sessions are being recorded. And we ask that when you are not asking a question, that you please do remain muted. And now I will start our initial question with asking that if you throw in the chat your name, your location, and what your role is in supporting employees within your organization. So if you could throw that in the chat, that will give us a little bit of a context about who we have here. Just so you guys know that at NeighborWorks Montana, I get to help oversee some of our staff development, professional development, and I get to help support our staff meetings, our in-person trainings, and some of the work we do around that. My first question for all of you, as we all know, our staff are exhausted. We work in a very social setting and we are feeling the burden of the weight of the economy and the housing crisis with our clients. What are you doing to support your staff right now that you feel is a big win? We want to hear from each of you to hear what you're doing that you feel like your staff are being supported by. Anyone have anything they want to share with us? This is interactive. Table talks don't work if they're not interactive.
Sure. This is Jonah Philippus, Montana Housing Division with Department of Commerce. I think one thing that we kind of try and do is, and it's not often enough, is try to get out of the office or try to have some luncheons here once in a while, whether it's Pizza Fridays or something, which we haven't done for a long time. But then maybe, in the evenings, like getting out and having a meet up, somewhere as well too, that either to blow off some steam, something. But, I think during the day, we're all so busy and, some of the new programs that have come on with ARPA, with the MERA program and the HAF program have just really inundated a lot of our staff and overloaded. But I think, just giving that opportunity or having an open door policy for people to come in and vent, to say, I'm having a bad day or, things like that, to where I think that helps a lot. But I also think, just interacting with each other outside of the office, maybe not even talking about business at that point too, maybe going and grabbing some food, going out for a hike, whatever it is that, floats your boat there that you can do to kind of help deter those burnout feelings that everyone gets. That's really all I have to say about it. So
yeah, Joe, that's all great. I love the idea of Pizza Fridays and off-site interaction. NeighborWorks Montana is a statewide organization, and just recently, April now, which feels like forever ago, we got all of our staff together for the first time in 2 years, and we all gathered at Chico Hot Springs and had a great time of growth and development with Sarah Elkins of Elkins Consulting. She guided us through Strengths Finders, talked to us how to interact with each other. And then we got to sit in hot springs and drink a beer or a glass of wine while we soaked. And we just really spent time with our staff. And we felt like that was a really, really valuable investment into our staff and into our time together. What else are you guys doing? And for those of you that are just joining us, there's a lot of people that are just hopping over. These are meant to be roundtable kind of table talk conversations where we all put our heads together to share best practices about how we're supporting our staff. I don't have anything enlightening and insightful to tell you, which is really unfortunate for all of you. I feel like I'm in the trenches with each of you as we are doing this. What are you guys doing that you're seeing is really supportive of your staff right now?
Reminding everybody that self-care is so important. to get through this, and
No, I brought mine out, but I have a cup.
dirt therapy.
One more time, Andrew. Sorry, there was some background.
Just
noise.
reminding everybody that self-care is very important, and encourage them to go out and get some dirt therapy with the gardens or whatever.
Yeah, I love that. And Andrew, where are you at and what is your role?
I'm in Great Falls as a tenancy specialist.
Okay, great.
That's
What else do
Sacramento
you
Health.
guys? Yeah, great. What else are you guys doing across the state to support your staff right now?
Just open doors and listen.
Yeah. Caitlin, can you share a little bit more what you threw in the chat about burden sharing? I would love to hear more about how you guys are doing that. Maybe we can get that. Maybe not. For those of you that are statewide, how are you handling supporting staff in different locations? Any insight there? Or for those of you that have remote staff, how are you handling supporting remote staff versus those that are in person?
I can say, you know, with the 25, the couple dozen folks that we have that have been working remotely for the MERA program since last April, we try to get together once, you know, a quarter. We have, you know, stand-up meetings with them, you know, 2 to 3 times a week as well too, to where we talk business. And then we were like, okay, what are you guys doing for the weekend? You know, things like that, or their birthday celebrations. You know, kind of just having that time for the team to kind of, you know, decompress from the business as well too. So yeah, that's about it for us, for the remote workers.
That's great. Where, I guess this might be a better question and we can help share the burden with each other. Where are pain points for you guys right now with staff burnout and connection? Anyone have pain points? What brought you to this conversation?
Oh, I'm looking to see if Cheryl Cohen's on this because I don't want to know. Pain points are extreme burnout. I mean, with the programs that we're running, then, you know, when not being able to do our daily normal tasks that we're supposed to do, really it's a burden to, you know, because I miss my family a lot too. So it's like, you know, even, you know, 8 hours a day is not enough. And so it's the pain points that I see with the remote workers and the staff here at housing too are too much to do in too little time. You know, you're leaving in the evenings and you're, you know, for me personally, I'm leaving at night and I'm leaving a lot on the plate for the next day and I can never seem to get caught up. And I think that's my biggest thing that I lose sleep over is I can't get caught up to a point. So I think that's the biggest.
Yeah. Joe, I think at NeighborWorks Montana, we can relate to that right now. The work is so broad and so vast and so much that a lot of us are trying to find ways to shift deadlines, be okay with things changing, be flexible and say, okay, you know what, we are one person or we're 17 people, 18 people in the case of NeighborWorks Montana. We can only do so much and we have to learn how to say no. I know that I have 2 young kids and that makes it hard when I bring all of my work home with me. They're home with me on Fridays during the summer. And my daughter was like, you're not a nice mom last Friday. And I was like, oh, sorry. And I was like, well, also you go to school normally and this is your first Friday home with me in a long time. So I'm not going to be a nice mom. I have to get work done. But yeah, figuring out how we balance bringing our whole self. Chris, I'm going to put you on the spot. What's Homeward doing to support staff and try to increase staff engagement and avoid burnout?
We've tried a couple of different things, and Homeward works really hard to do various incentive programs. And so we've always done a health and wellness program where folks would report anything they were doing for as far as like exercise goes. And during COVID, we expanded that to mental health. And so did you take a nap? Did you play with your kids instead of, you know, doing the laundry? That's a mental health plus. Maybe the other way around, did the laundry instead of playing with your kids. And folks just submit like a weekly status report on what did they do. And we utilize some of our employee appreciation funds to then fund a gift card once a month. And so drawing based on those sorts of things. We've always done that, but kind of expanding it to mental health, I think, is really valuable. During the pandemic, when more folks were working remotely, we also did like a coffee talk kind of thing. So like a half hour, just show up and chit chat and share really random things. We got into some really funny random conversations. And then for me specifically, a couple of my direct reports they do counseling. A lot of folks in this room work with and or are counselors. And the counseling for homebuyer education and financial education has been difficult lately, like really difficult for people. Anyone out there who's a homebuyer educator is a superhero, because the work that they're doing in this really critical homeownership market is tough. You have to tell people that they can't buy when they thought they could buy and they were doing everything right. And that's been really difficult. And so then on top of having to have really difficult conversations with people, you're face-to-face with a video. A lot of us are still doing video, and then you have to jump into entering your file on your computer. So my educators are just in front of their screens 24/7, and they're on, right? For hours of a day, they're on. And so we started doing some little things. I made them, neither of them love files very much. And so I made them monthly like prize packages. This is super cheesy, but it's just the little things, right? And so I bought these cute little things. They both got Zen gardens this time. And when they're doing files and they need a little pick me up, they can open that month's prize box for their fun.
I love that. That's great. Andrew, I see your hand up.
You didn't take it down, but another thing that I've been doing is when I hit board meetings and stuff in the evening, is I'll bring my 4-year-old foster son with me to those, and in work parties, get him involved, and that way I get time with him, and he gets to go, "Oh, that was so cool."
That's awesome. Yeah, inviting our kids. I feel like the NeighborWorks Montana staff and many others see way too much of my children and hear way too much of their conversations sometimes, but it's good. It's about to show them. Liz Moses shared in the chat that their site managers meet for coffee on Friday mornings just to get away for an hour and support each other. They actually implemented it themselves because they all needed it.
Oh, yeah.
What? I love that you guys are doing that, Liz. From a management team, then have you guys supported that, saying, this is paid work time? How have you executed that as you're, managing your on-site managers?
I can talk. I guess I could unmute myself. Yeah, I make it paid work time, but don't tell HR. I just said, yeah, well, they were asking me like, get together. And we all have like 100 million things on our plate. And I'm terrible at that kind of stuff. And so one day they said, hey, here's our standing invite. And they go do it. And I said, I don't need to be there. You can vent about me that way if they need to. But yeah, so I just consider it a housing meeting and pay them. And I think it's helpful because they run across the same issues. And this year, the last couple of years have been really exceedingly difficult compared to years past. And combine that with like half of our rent, over half of our tenants didn't pay rent for over a year. And so we're getting, with the rent in freeze, or the eviction freeze. And so we're slowly getting that collected and getting them assistance or having to take other matters, which is really stressful. We've had to do that because we just can't afford it anymore, of having to like kick people out. And between that, we had a meth cleanup. That was our first one. And just last night, we had a small apartment fire that triggered all of the sprinklers and soaked 3 floors. So it's been kind of a stressful time. Yeah, so now we've got this huge insurance claim over a fire that could have been put out with an extinguisher. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff. And it's just been like day in and day out. And it's just been like, I know personally, I'm pretty burnt out of it all. So I'm like, I don't know how to fix that, of getting people to, behave better, and to add, I don't know what the solution there is, but at least we can all kind of chat it out. And I think that helps. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and it looks like Caitlin Leary seconded your stressor on tenant behavior being a big stressor. At NeighborWorks Montana, thankfully, we don't have as much tenant stress put on us, but I can only imagine for those of you that are in that role of managing tenants and managing site managers, how exhausting that has been over the last year and a half, last 2 years. So one of the things that came up in the chat was that, there's been a struggle around how to help staff in other management departments that seem to be struggling or suffering. We all have had staff that are struggling, and how are you supporting your own staff teams and other managers that you seem to see struggling? What are you doing particularly? What is your organization doing? How have you seen support play out? Anyone have any good ideas, or are we all here to try to get some good ideas? This isn't directly related to that, but one of the things NeighborWorks Montana looked at throughout COVID was how we are honoring and like celebrating our long-term staff. We want to look at retention and how we keep the folks we have in place around. And we established a new tiered annual honoring system to gift our employees with gifts for hitting benchmarks of years of service at NeighborWorks Montana. And for those of our staff that have hit 15 years, they got a weekend away at a location that we know that they would love to be at. So for example, we sent one to Sealy Lake at the Sealy Lake Lodge. Another one got to go to Chico Hot Springs, and we sent with gift baskets to try to encourage them to spend time away. We also been very diligent of encouraging our staff to use their vacation time. As Jill mentioned at the beginning of this, we do not finish our work. We finish our days feeling behind and start our days feeling behind. And that can make a stress on feeling like you can take vacation. And we've been very hard pressed in trying to encourage our employees to use their vacation time. The other thing that NeighborWorks Montana did was established a management team. We had not had a very rigorous management team. And we do monthly check-ins with our management team to figure out how we can invest in our management team to invest in the folks that report directly to them. It looks like Carissa said they also have their management team have weekly check-ins, and they bring things up there that they've heard from their team, even just indirectly, so they don't have to put a team member on the spot. Carissa, how do you move what you hear to action for change?
I think we're pretty lucky because we have a smaller director team, and we're all very different. And so we can, and a lot of really nice mutual respect amongst that team. And so we're really able to, I feel really comfortable sharing if I've heard something and can talk through ways to do it differently. And I think they would do the same. And so it's really, we've just sort of had a culture of openness in that team, especially. And each of us has our own, our strength, and we bring that to the table and we respect each other for it. And so mine is HR. So if somebody's doing something that's a little on HR, I will just tell them and we'll talk through it and coach through it. So.
Fantastic. How are you guys celebrating wins? I think we at NeighborWorks Montana realized that we were really good about being like, oh, we just got this huge grant. Great. We're going to move on because we've got now a lot of work to do with this grant. And we're not celebrating the win. How are you celebrating wins with your employees? What are you doing to say, we're kicking ass right now in a really tough time? How are you celebrating that within your organizations? Anyone celebrating?
Moving on to the next task.
Yeah.
I celebrate.
That's exactly what I was thinking too, Andrew. Seems like, you're kicking ass now. So what do? You kick ass the next thing and then you rock on.
Yeah. We realized that people were like, well, what are you doing and where are you winning? And we're like, oh my gosh, we actually are winning in so many areas. We need to take a few minutes to celebrate that, and have tried to start celebrating some of those wins in our staff meeting. I love what Kristen threw in the chat. She said, we are normalizing conversations around burnout and secondary trauma. We try to be intentional around having structured conversations around this so that the team members feel supported. Additionally, we have really tried to implement flexibility in staff schedules that recognize everyone has a life outside of work, family, etc. So how can we be more flexible with staff to reduce impacts of stress outside of the workplace? And then Carissa mentioned that they are working to create a bonus structure, semi-regular gatherings. Now that the weather is nice, however, I would argue that the weather is nice in Great Falls right now. It was 40 degrees last night. And they also have a funny practice of giving pies for wins, so trying to reinvigorate that. I love that. I love pie. All of those are great. I think NeighborWorks Montana is also working on how to balance flexibility. We have a lot of staff who do have young kids. are working remotely, and summertime we know was crazy for that. So trying to work on how we can give and take and be flexible in scheduling and allow for some freedom to be a person on top of being an employee. So we have worked on trying to find that tension around that. As you guys look, as we all look towards the future of our work and the busyness that's happening, and we look to plan around what we can do, we are looking at NeighborWorks Montana about how we can create more in-person gatherings. So we have already scheduled the time in July that NeighborWorks Montana is, all of our staff are going to do the Gates of the Mountain boat ride in the Missouri. So we're going to take a day to come to Great Falls, do strategic planning the first day, and the second day we're going to do Gates of the Mountain and a picnic together. We find that when our staff are together, we have really positive interactions, and the morale seems to boost a little bit after that point in time. As you look towards the future, my next question to you guys, you can throw it in the chat and I'll read it out, or you can come off mute and share. I love when people share. Is what makes you nervous about the future, and what are you looking forward to in the future of staffing and trying to avoid burnout?
Nervous about the future is the housing market in Great Falls is absolutely crazy right now. Rental prices are up. If you can get in, there are areas that aren't taking Section 8, and that scares the hell out of me. Basically, I'm sorry.
No, I get it. It is scary. Caitlin said she's nervous about turnover. We can see that too, and that the hiring market is tough. I think they go hand in hand, the turnover and hiring market. We had an interesting hiring situation a few months ago. We posted a few new positions, and we posted one position that we said was 18-month contracted, and we probably got 100 applications, 70 applications for that, because people wanted a short-term thing that they didn't have to commit long-term to. They had the out. And then we posted another full-time permanent position, and we got no applicants, and we had to go seek someone out and ask them to apply. And we ended up hiring that person. So the hiring market is extremely tough. And as Liz said, also several managers are approaching retirement. So trying to figure out how we deal with that proverbial silver tsunami that's coming up that we've all heard about. It's a scary thing to think through that. Also the upcoming legislative session. You're right, Chris. So that is kind of something that will give heart palpitations to all of us. Where will housing go during that session? And hopefully we have enough backing and support right now that maybe we can push some things through. What are you guys looking forward to doing with your teams? As we look forward to the future, what are you looking forward to with your teams? I want to make sure we focus on a positive.
I put this in the chat, but we just did a really fun retreat. We did a Jedi training in the morning with our staff and board, and then we did a disc analysis in the afternoon. And it was probably, I mean, we haven't had an all staff gathering for a really long time, but that communication style analysis was, they're like personality assessments that you take in a magazine, but a little science-based, and they're fun. And it has really helped because people have a better understanding of how to communicate with each other. And if somebody's communicating a certain way, they understand, and it has truly helped with team cohesion. And that was just really fun.
I love that. Yeah, similar to the DISC, NeighborWorks Montana did Strengths Finder, and how we play to each other's strengths, and how our strengths, as we look at bringing the whole body to work, the whole person to work, how our strengths can interact with our other teammates. It was very illuminating, and we have engaged Sarah Elkins of Elkins Consulting to continue to work with our staff. We've offered one-on-one appointments with her for our staff to work through things that they have going on. And we've also had her send out every other week emails about how our strengths play into what we do, because we find that sometimes we have this great moment in time at our retreats, but then trying to continue that on for the long haul is where we struggle a little bit. So we want to continue to create some continuity. I love that Carrie threw in the chat. She wants to start encouraging lunches together. I love that. I would strongly encourage you to take a few minutes out of your office to enjoy your coworkers. I know that I am guilty of not always doing that because I want to get everything done that I can in my day. And if I shovel food in my face at my desk, then I can get through that. I would encourage you to start looking at that. What else are you guys looking forward to with your staff, or things that might be coming up, or anything else that you want to share with us before we end our very quick 30 minutes together? Anyone have any thoughts? If you haven't started to think through staff engagement or helping support your staff, I would really encourage you to do so. I do know that I recognize that there are organizations that may feel very unsupported right now, and there's a lot of great people out there that are doing great work supporting staff. And so I'd really encourage you, even if you want to reach out to NeighborWorks Montana, or I'm sure Homeward, or I'm sure other places, to see what we're doing and how you can start slowly implementing some things, we'd be more than happy to help you do that. If there aren't any other parting thoughts, if there are, please throw them out there. We want to try to figure out how to encourage each other. But if there aren't, oh, Chris, you have something?
I'm sorry if this is like, if this creates eye rolls, but I feel like sometimes sharing of tools is helpful. Like for me, burnout is around like folks have been talking about like so much work and you can't finish your work, and that's so stressful, and it's hard not to take that home. And so we talk a lot about tools that we can help streamline our work. If anyone is a Microsoft Office, if you don't know about the like to-do list tool, it's amazing and fantastic. And you can have like different lists for different things and you can check them off and it feels really good. And if you're a phone user also for work, you can have the app on your phone. So if you think of something like, oh, I got to remember to ask Katie Biggs about that, you can put it on your to-do list or your Katie to-do list. Or so I have lists for each of the staff that report to me. I have a list for the leadership team, for the whole staff, for the executive director. And so that helps me organize things so I don't forget them, but I also don't have to dwell on remembering them. So that's a tool that I use. I don't know if anybody else has tools that you would recommend that maybe help. Organizing helps me not burn out. So
I love that. The other thing we realized is that we do get really focused on work, and we use teams at NeighborWorks Montana. We created a team called Bears Beats Battlestar Galactica for all of you Office fans. That whole team's channel is 100% focused on things that are not work. So show us a picture of your garden, show us a picture of your kid, show us a picture of what you did this weekend. We don't want to hear anything about work in that Teams chat. We want to just know fun things about who you are as a person. So, you know, there is some great tech tools, like Carissa mentioned, for organizing and for engaging, that can be used for ways that can promote activity that isn't work. And I think in this day and age, we need to promote some activity that isn't necessarily work within our work time to celebrate that and have those conversations. Yeah, Carissa just threw out sharing recipes. Actually, NeighborWorks Montana created a recipe book with our board and staff where we asked for favorite recipes and put it together in a big PDF so we could share that with each other. So just look for ways. I encourage you to look for ways with your teams that you can do that. Ways to celebrate wins, not just get stuck in work, and enjoy things a little bit. That's it for this session. That's it for Table Talks. We're going to start implementing Table Talks at future conferences. And the idea that we want to hear from our peers. There's so many great people that we can't get to speak at a conference, but we can sit down and talk about a topic together. So look for these at our future in-person conferences. Remember also, you can always participate in community conversations through the Whova app to chat more. And right now, that was a very quick 30 minutes, but you're all off for a 1-hour lunch break. So I'm going to have some leftover pizza from last night's NeighborWorks Great Falls gathering in Great Falls. So I'm excited about that. But we hope to see. What?
I shared a recipe.
Oh,
it's a really
yay.
good one. It's a really good one. Sorry if you're a vegetarian because it does not apply to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And thank you to all of you guys who shared, and we just hope you have a great day. And we'll see you back at 2. Bye.